Welcome back to the Frozen Forum podcast. This is episode 21
21.
now. 21 now. And I am now in France. So right now, as we're recording, it's January 8th at 9 p.m. What time is it over there in Canada?
It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon over here.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing these different time zone episodes now for the next 4 months. But nonetheless, we have a very, very big week to talk about here. Well, first, Alex, how are you doing? How's Canada?
Canada's good. Look, we got the new setup. We got the jerseys on the wall. We got Gallagher, Caulfield, Suzuki, and Doc up there. No, Canada's good. It's cold. It's been -5, -6 every day for the last week. The wind chill is like -30 or something like that. It's something ridiculous. So I haven't been going outside very much. But I found out today that my skis actually fit in my car. So I can go skiing whenever I want. So we'll
Very
be doing
nice.
that hopefully at some point in time this semester.
There you go. There you go. Can't say it's been that cold over here. The past few days it's been 10, 11 degrees, and then when we
That's
went
ridiculous.
south of France this weekend it was 15, 16, 17. It was pretty warm.
Sounds nice. It sounds nice. I mean, look, we got a little bit of snow up here in Waterloo. It's but it hasn't really been snowing. It's just been cold. I'm thinking pond hockey would be like a big thing right now, but I actually don't know where the ponds are up here. So
Let's go to Columbia Lake, and I'm sure there's something there.
I'm sure, probably, right? Yeah. That means I'd have to go outside. It's cold outside. So how is following the Habs been? What's your experience like in France? Obviously, you're probably asleep for all the games now, eh?
I can't watch any of the games now because I am here for school. So I do have schools during the day. I can't be staying up till 4 a.m. every night watching the Habs, but I have slowly been watching highlights. This past week's been a bit hectic, moving into France, getting everything together. But I mean, I had to keep up with what they were doing this week. I mean, we've been on an absolute tear. Might as well just hop right into it, I feel like.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, since we last talked. I mean, technically, it's not in this past week, but we started off with a game against Vegas on New Year's Eve that we won, which was incredible, right? Stanley Cup champion 2 years ago.
Yep.
We beat them, no problem. We then come into Chicago. We lose to the Chicago Blackhawks, the last place team in the NHL, which we're going to talk about in this podcast. But then we turn around, game like the next day, basically, we play the Colorado Avalanche and we beat them in a shootout. And then we go back home. Vancouver comes into town and we beat the Vancouver Canucks. And so we're 3-1. This is I think they're our only week for a while that's got 4 games. We're 3-1, Nathan. And when we beat the Vancouver Canucks, that put us where? In the last wild card spot in the East.
Yep. Last wildcard spot, and that puts us 8-10 in the last 10 games. But the 2 losses coming from
Try again.
Columbus.
8-10, 8-2.
Sorry, we've won eight of our last 10 games in our last 10.
Is it 8-2 now, or is it still 7-3? I don't know. But either way, we've been winning a lot. I know that we're 7-2 in our last 9, but even these last 3 games didn't have Patrick Laine, didn't have David Savard. Michael Pezzetta's playing like 3 minutes a night in Patrick Laine's stead, which is actually crazy. Like this line management, I have to say, I don't even know what the point is of bringing Pezzetta into the lineup. Like he'll play him for 2 shifts, and then after the 2 shifts, Pezzetta just doesn't see the ice the rest of the game.
I mean, it's been working.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it. It's just one of those where you go, wow, when Patrick Laine comes back, right? Which he had like an illness. It's not like an injury or anything like that. That's just another boost to this team, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we were talking about earlier. Patrick Laine just is that spark. Even when he's not there, he's just the kick we needed to get going.
We feel good. We're playing our game. Do you have 3 stars for me this week?
I do have 3 stars. My first star, moving into first place in points for rookies this season, Laine Hutson. It's pretty hard not to give it to him after that. Everyone's been talking so much crap about him. I think he gets the first star for that.
Okay.
Second
Number 2?
star, Caulfield. Cole Caulfield has been back, baby. He's back. I think he has, what does he have, 3 or 4 in the last 4 games?
He's got a goal of 5 straight.
He's got a goal in K. I didn't know that. He's got a goal in 5 straight. He's got plenty of assists as well. He's getting that second spot. And my third one, who probably could be the second best rookie in my opinion, Emil Heineman. He has still been on a roll. I think he has 2 in our last 4 games and a few assists as well. He has been doing very, very well for us.
Game winner against Vegas, right? If I'm not
Yeah, game
mistaken.
winner against Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
what
the
do you
list. I
think?
like the list. I won't lie. I had Caulfield at 1, and then you said Hutson, and I wanted to think about it a little more. Look, Hutson had a really good game against Vancouver. Scored a goal, got 2 assists, commanding play. He's playing 22 minutes a night now, right? Which is incredible for a rookie. Um, I think he needs to play more, and we'll get to that when we get to this Frozen Forum Flash, because I got a question for you that very interesting, I think. But I like Caulfield at 1, just because, yes, Hutson is first in scoring, but Cole Caulfield has reached another tier. The way that he is playing, the engagement that he is having. Look, he took a really bad penalty in the Vancouver game, like a really bad penalty, right? Slashed the stick out of a guy's hands because he got hit, right? It was like a retaliatory slash, got called for slashing, whatever. I have my own opinions about that because, if you drop your stick when somebody hits your stick, like you just didn't hold on hard enough, like, but whatever. Whatever. Apparently, according to the refs, it's a penalty. So, but outside of that, he has been physically involved. He has been creating plays. He's been scoring goals. I mean, that goal he scored against Vancouver, he ripped that. Like, that was ridiculous.
Hmm.
I watched that shot like 6 times. How fast he's able to just transition from his backhand, forehand, and it's in the back of the net. It's like instantaneous. It's fantastic. But he's been engaged outside of that too, right? Like, not just in the offensive zone. He's been great defensively. He's been skating very, very hard a lot of the times. I think he's reached a new level. I put him first. I'll put Hutson, and I agree with Heineman at third.
Yeah, man. It was hard to pick three. I mean, I wanted to throw Suzuki on there. Suzuki's been doing so well. Doc has improved his play as well. I wanted to give an honorable mention to the goalies. Thought the goalies did pretty solid, the exception of the Blackhawks game, but even then it wasn't terrible. The teams just look good.
It has looked good. And look, I look at that Blackhawks game, and I think a team goes through stages, right? Like, I think you start as like a rebuilding team that is just unable to win, period, right? And then you get to a stage where, okay, now you're starting to win games, right? This is like us, like last year, right? We're sort of competitive in some games, and other games we're just gonna get blown into the water because whatever, right? But like some of the games we're competitive and we're starting to put some things together. Then we get to the beginning of this season, right? Where we're not quite there yet, but we're starting to make less mistakes. We're starting to, like, whatever, right? You get into this next phase, which I think we're in right now, where when you play your game, your system, you win hockey games. Plain and simple, right? The Montreal Canadiens have now implemented a system, thanks to Marty St. Louis in the defensive end, that they can control games, right? Play Colorado. They allowed the Colorado Avalanche, a Stanley Cup champion, 1 goal against, right? And that's not on the goaltender. Like as much as it was Dobes in that game, right? Much as Dobes was great in that game, I think they only had like 26 shots or something like that. And more than that, the high danger chances were very low, right? The actual, like, sustained zone pressure was very low. We win games like that because we're playing good defensively. So we're in that stage now. If we play our game, we'll win the game. But we're still rebuilding. And so part of the rebuilding is we go into Chicago and we go, oh, well, playing our game is actually really hard, right? Like, it's a lot of hard work. You have to commit defensively. You have to skate really hard defensively, even though, like, whatever. We as a young team go into Chicago and we say, hey, it's Chicago. They're like the last team in the NHL. Like, do we really have to do all of this stuff? And all of a sudden, it's 3-1, right? And that's what happens because you're not playing your game. When you leave the game, like look, if you're the best team in the NHL right now, like Vegas, right? And you don't play your game against the Chicago Blackhawks, you still probably beat them just because you outskill them in every way. We're not at that stage yet. We're at the stage where you have to play your game to win the game, if that makes sense, right?
Makes
And I
sense.
looked.
It's also that the team is so damn young that like amped up to play the Stanley Cup champs of the last 4 years, and then yeah, you're right, last team in the league.
Last team in the league, it's a little bit lackadaisical, right? And so the difference between this team and the team that is going to, like, compete for a playoff spot, or the team that's actually going to compete for a Stanley Cup one day, is we have to bridge that gap, right? We have to take it back from we don't care who we're playing. We're going to play the same way because we know how to win hockey games, right? And when we do that, unstoppable, man.
Yeah, can't agree more. And it's without Patrick frickin' Laine. So once he's back, Imagine, sky is truly the limit, especially if we're doing that against top teams in the leagues. Like, come on,
Come on now.
baby, I'm amped up.
It's fantastic. Look, let's go into our Frozen Forum Flash. For those who don't know, I'm going to start cutting these out, so I got to like introduce it, right? So welcome to our Frozen Forum Flash for episode 21 of the Frozen Forum podcast. We have 10 questions for you, Nathan. We have 5 on the Montreal Canadiens, 5 on the rest of the NHL. You've got about 30 seconds. We've been a little bit lax about that lately. But for each question, and so the Frozen Forum Flash is starting now. Question number 1. Considering that he is not currently used on the penalty kill or when 5-on-6, like in the last 2 minutes of the game, would you use Laine Hutson in place of a forward in either of those two situations?
No, I wouldn't. We talked about it earlier this podcast, not changing what works. We talked about it with Michael Pezzetta and his low amount of minutes. It's been working for us. Laine Hutson doesn't necessarily need to be on for those key points, especially if it's working for us right now. But if it starts to fall apart, then yeah, definitely throw Laine Hutson on. He's proved that he's one of our top players on the team. Don't change a thing right now. Leave him off.
I like the answer. Question number 2. There is a lot of good talk about Alex Carrier since he was traded to the Montreal Canadiens. I believe he has 4 or 5 assists through 9 games. How much of his success, though, should be attributed to the play of Caden Gooley, his partner on the ice?
I'm going to let you answer this one because I have not seen too much of it, to be honest.
Look, I point to this. The thing I'll point to is if you look back in Montreal Canadiens history, right? Andrei Markov was on the team for a very long time, and he was never a flashy player, right? Never a super like he's not a PK Subban, but every single player that he played with looked like an all-star, right? PK Subban looked like an all-star. When PK Subban went to Nashville, people were like, "Oh, wait, maybe he's not actually as good as we thought he was." It was because he was playing with Andrei Markov. I look at Alex Carrier, the subtle things that Caden Gooley does on a regular basis is fantastic, and it allows Alex Carrier to go do a bunch of great things. I love those two as a pair, as a side note. We'll go into question 3, though. I don't know if you've seen these highlights of these hits, but since when is Nick Suzuki one of the hardest hitting guys on our team?
Oh, yeah. I saw some clips. Was it against Vancouver? I mean, it looked like he was getting scrappy even after that first goal. I think it was that Caulfield snipe. They all go to celebrate, and then they're about to come in for a big fight, but the refs split it up, unfortunately. That would have been pretty cool to see. I don't know what he had after the Christmas break there. Maybe something on New Year's. Something he had to drink that night, but I don't know because he has been one feisty fellow on the ice.
He's had like 3 open ice hits since we last talked, so it's pretty big. Question number 4 for you. Do you think that the players on the team asked Marty to grow the beard? And he said, sure, but if you play badly, I'm going to shave it.
Do I think?
Well, because he's growing the beard, right? So, like, do you think if we have a really bad game, the beard's coming off? Or is the beard just going to be a new staple of Marty St. Louis?
The beard's going to come off if they lose 3 terrible games in a row. We lost a game to the Blue Jackets. We probably shouldn't have lost that. We lost a game to the Blackhawks, which if we were just a little bit more disciplined, we could have won. If that happens 3 times in a row, it's coming off. There's your answer.
I like it. Okay, and question number 5, the last one about the Montreal Canadiens. The Habs were in a playoff spot for 2 days before the Blue Jackets won a game last night and took the spot back. Do you think that we will be firmly in a playoff position at any point in time this season? Or are we going to be living on the edge of the playoffs for the rest of the season?
I think we're going to be on the edge for the rest of the season. As of now, we saw what would happen in the first 20 games of the season. I think we won 9 games. And on the last 20, we've won 12 or 13. So that could obviously swing again very easily. We're going to be riding that line. This team knows how to win now, but teams are now going to be a little bit more ready to play the Montreal Canadiens. They see what we can do. We beat the last 4 Stanley Cup champions. I don't need to say anymore.
I like it. Okay, we'll go into the questions about the NHL. Reportedly, this week, a trade was offered by the New York Rangers. Zibanejad for JT Miller. 1 for 1. Obviously, Vancouver, well, that trade hasn't gone through, so Vancouver declined. How close do you think that trade actually is to being a fair trade?
It could be, man, that is tough. Fair trade, I don't, based on this season performances, not a fair trade. Like New York wins that trade, in my opinion. JT Miller's been far better. But from Vancouver's point of view, JT Miller and what's his face, Elias Pettersson, have been clashing heads supposedly the whole season. So maybe Zibanejad's that what he needs, and just that other European in there. Then they'll get things going. Maybe Zibanejad, that's what he's missing. But it's not a fair trade.
I like it. It's a good take. Obviously, Vancouver didn't think so either. We'll go to question number 7. Team USA won the World Juniors. Canada was eliminated in the quarterfinals by Czechia. We talked last week about change coming from the top of the organization. Is that why Justin Trudeau is resigning?
It's the only reason, honestly. He saw us get bounced by Czechia in the quarterfinals 2 years in a row. It was time for him to go. It was long gone, because if he hadn't left, you know what would have happened? If we lost again to Czechia, US would have taken Canada just purely because we lost 3 years in a row to Czechia. So he had to bounce soon enough. And yeah, that's why Justin Trudeau left.
Perfect. Love it. Love it. I love it when organizations realize that the change has to come all the way at the top. We'll go into question number 8. There are stories of a prank that Crosby pulled on the Flower, where he rearranged the furniture in Fleury's hotel room. Fleury then, in retaliation, applied Vaseline to Crosby's visor, laced his skates backwards, and stuffed beef sticks into Crosby's jockstrap. What is your favorite prank that the two have played on each other throughout the years?
Throughout the years, I remember seeing a YouTube video once of, I think it was Fleury first tied Crosby's skates together, like in a bunch of knots, so it was impossible for him to get his skates together, so he couldn't play. And then I think Crosby retaliated by tying up all the goalie pads together so that Fleury couldn't use his goalie pads. I think it's a YouTube video out there. If it's not that pair, it's definitely another pair of player goalie. That was pretty good. I'm blanking here on other Marc-Andre Fleury pranks because he has a bunch. But that's my favorite one, if that is them.
I think it is. I think you're right. And so we'll go with that one. We'll go to question number 9. Austin Matthews has been dealing with an injury this year. Do you think, now we don't really know exactly what the injury is, right? But do you think that Shea Weber would have missed games for this kind of an injury?
If Shea Weber's hair was falling out, probably not. If the hair plugs were falling out, I don't think he would miss time. I don't think 99% of NHL players would miss time. But when your forehead is increasing in surface area at an alarming rate, even faster than global warming, you know what? It's a little bit understandable. No, Shea Weber would not ever do that.
I love it. I love the chats about it. I mean, that's going to be our picture on this week's segment. It's going to be Austin Matthews' hair falling out. There you go. Last question for you. Question number 10 before we go into other stuff. Did you like the alley-oop pass from Jacob Trouba, former New York Ranger, to Jonathan Huberdeau to win last night's game for the Calgary Flames?
Man, this guy goes from captain of the New York Rangers to the Ducks. Clearly hasn't improved at all. He might be done. And I think he might know that too. So he's now looking to get a contract in the NBA, and he's proved himself pretty good so far. That was a phenomenal alley-oop, right? Like 6 inches from the net, just perfect for Huberdeau to top it in. Yeah, I think he's going to get that NBA contract very soon. That's it.
We'll keep going. I froze, I think, but cool. Well, that wraps up our Frozen Forum Flash. Let's get into the other stuff that we've seen this week. We talked about the Chicago game. In Colorado, they put Kirby Dach out as the third shooter in shootout for us, and he scores to win it. Fantastic moment. I did an analysis recently because a lot of Habs fans have been very mad at the refereeing in the NHL, and rightfully so, I think, right? If you look at the number of penalties taken, the number of 2-minute penalties taken per game, the Montreal Canadiens take the most in the league. Now, to some people, namely Leafs fans, that's not surprising, right? But when you think about conceptually, who should be taking the most penalties, right? It's the teams that lose a lot. It's the teams at the bottom of the standings. Montreal Canadiens right now are, 13th last in the NHL, right? Very, very close to a playoff spot as of recording. that's not a team you'd normally associate with taking a lot of penalties. Moreover, I was looking at the number of penalties that get called against the teams that we're playing, right? In the games that we're playing. And when we played Florida, the Florida Panthers did not take a single penalty. The Florida Panthers are the 4th most penalized team in the league. And they just didn't happen to take any penalties against us. We played against Vegas. I think there were 3 different high sticks that were just never called against the Vegas Golden Knights. Like, where our player's face is like going, I just got hit, because like that's what your natural instinctual reaction is when you get hit in the face with a stick, right? No call on any of them.
How many calls did we get in the Florida game?
I think there was only 1 penalty in that game in total, which I mean, great. Okay, fine. The refs are putting the whistles away, right? It's just about the parity. I'm looking at like even the Vancouver game last night, right? Like Vancouver, I think that was the first game in a while where Vancouver, like the team we were playing, had more than 3 penalties. They took 4 whole penalties against us, right? And we only took 3, right? Which is like, wow. But the calls sometimes, some of these calls that are being made against us are the softest things in the world. I mean, in that Chicago game, I know you know this because you play hockey, that a team can take 2 penalties at the same time, right? And give the other team a 5-on-3 for 2 minutes. That happens, right? But the only time that happens in the NHL is when you have some kind of call that gets made first, ref puts up his hand, and then something absolutely egregious happens, right? Like some elbow to the head that you can't ignore, and the rest go, hey, sorry, we have to take you off for that too, right? Chicago, we're playing Chicago. One of the softest slashing calls I've ever seen in my life against, who is it that took it? It was Jaden Struble that took it. And then his defensive partner, Arbor Jackeye, taps. And when I say tap, like didn't get a stick under, like taps the same guy foot, and he falls. And they called him for tripping. And they called Struble for slashing. And so they gave a 5-on-3. I haven't seen a 5-on-3 be given in 2 minutes, like for 2 minutes, in like 5 years.
That'd be an interesting stat to see the last time that's actually happened, because usually it's like offsetting penalties and an extra penalty, but that's nuts.
But I look at it, I mean, I was looking at it, right? I performed a very complex mathematical analysis of the stats. This is what I did. Ready? I took the penalties that the teams that we're playing against take on average, right? So for Florida, they're the 27th team. They take 3-point whatever penalties in a game, right? And I subtracted from that the number of penalties they actually took against us. And I did that for the whole season. So for the whole season, it actually looks kind of good. In the first, whatever number of games until Patrick Laine joined the team, there were more penalties being called against our competitors than is usually called against those same competitors. And then Patrick Laine joins. And since Patrick Laine joined, the stats say that there should have been at least 9 more penalties called against our opposing teams in the span of whatever, I think it's been 11 games now since he's been part of the team. Just on average numbers, right? And obviously that average number isn't true for one specific game, right? But when you look at a span of time and you say, hey, look at all of these teams take on average 3 penalties and they're only getting 1 penalty against the Habs. It's kind of ridiculous, right?
But it's also like, how can you say that it's just because Patrick Laine joined that? It could just be a coincidence that this is happening at the same time.
Well, I look at it as the Habs are now winning, right? Like the real difference is not that Patrick Laine joined, it's that they're being competitive in these hockey games, right? And so it's like as soon as Montreal becomes competitive, the league's like, oh, no, we can't have that happen. Stop calling penalties against, like, don't give them power plays because, we're actually decent on the power play. I mean, you could have given us 17 power plays last year and we still wouldn't have won games, right? But it's like as soon as we start being competitive, no more power plays.
Or it could just be that any competitive game, the refs try and lay off a little bit more. Which I feel like we just haven't seen in a while.
We still get so many freaking penalties. Like I think we got 6 penalties in the game against Colorado.
Really?
I think so. Let me check because maybe that's wrong. Yeah, we had 12 penalty minutes. 12 penalty minutes against the Colorado Avalanche, and there's no fights in there either. Like against Chicago, We had 13 penalty minutes. There's a fight in there, so it's actually just 8. So there's 4 penalties, but like 4 penalties against Chicago, 6 penalties against Colorado. One of those was offsetting. So, but even that, like 5 penalties, like that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's all I'm trying to say.
That's nuts. But I wonder what the stat looks like for other teams. I understand that they're missing penalties against us, but I feel like
Says that Boston's been very heavily penalized as well.
that doesn't surprise me. The big bad Bruins. What do you expect? Like, come on now. You're led by the Rat. The Rat is literally your leader. You're bound to get penalties.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I guess it's also who's taking the penalties, right? Like on our team, it hasn't really been the veterans. It's been the
young guns.
The young guns.
Yeah.
Struble, you know?
Yeah.
Jacka.
Sheriff.
What else? Hey, look, we were talking to them last week about the Dolphins maybe getting into the playoffs, just to pivot here. It's kind of crazy how we can go, oh, yeah, look, the path looks sort of easy. And first of all, Denver had to lose. Denver won, 38-0 or something like that against the secondary Kansas City Chiefs. So I guess they didn't pay off the refs. I've got Kansas City losing in the playoffs now because they didn't pay off the refs for that game.
I know. You have them not to win. You have explicitly not to win.
Not to win. I don't know how to bet that, but I need to bet on everybody but the Kansas City Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Actually, who are we kidding? Denver can't win it either. But I did see a fun thing. I don't know if you saw this. Chargers and the Rams play in the same stadium. There is a world in which they are both playing on Championship Sunday and both have home field advantage.
Wow, so just back-to-back games?
In SoFi Stadium.
That would be... California traffic is already nuts. And they have those wildfires right now. So it will be a shit show if that happens, but that would be electric for the NFL.
You know what's funny about that too, is the Jets and the Giants play in the same stadium. And through the last 40 years, there has never been a time that the NFL has even had to think about what would happen if they were both in that position.
That's good. That's too good. But man, that's... Back to the Dolphins, though. I don't know how you're blowing that game to the Jets when it's a must-win game for you to make the playoffs.
Was the game after the Denver game? I want to feel like they already knew they lost.
No, they were at the same time.
Never mind that.
I remember watching the scores and being like, you guys have one job. Just win this game. Then you have Jets, and that's all. Let's go back to the hockey, though. Did you see the Canucks game? We were down, 3-1 after
3-1.
Midway through the second or something?
In the last 4 games, Nathan, 4 or 5 games or whatever, the Habs have come back 3 times to win. We were losing against Vegas. We were losing against Colorado. Colorado scored first. We were losing against Vancouver 3-1 at one point. Right? There was a stat at the beginning of the season that was like the Montreal Canadiens are 0-9 when we don't score the first goal, right? In the last 2 weeks, we've now won 5 games in which we did not score the first goal.
Okay, let's just give up the first goal within 30 seconds and then just win every single game.
Look, I mean, in the Vancouver game, them going up 3-1 happened in 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
It was crazy how fast that was. And you start getting flashbacks. You're watching the game and you're like, oh my God, do you remember that Pittsburgh game that we lost 9-2? It was just like that, right? It was 1-1 and all of a sudden it was 7-1, But then they just stopped it. They just played well.
Mm-hmm. Played well. Doc ties it. Doc gets us ahead in the third, and then whatever is JT.
Kirby Doc's been playing great, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Playing so
He's
well.
Been phenomenal.
Gets the game winner against the Habs, and then pretty big goal.
It's almost like he was injured for a whole year. I don't know.
Now he's back. The comeback kings, baby. See if that's what the C stands for. Comeback.
The real news. This is gonna be a clip, Nathan. I don't know if you've been paying attention to this. The real news of the Montreal Canadiens. It doesn't matter what we're doing this year, right? Everybody agrees. If we get into the playoffs, we're winning the Stanley Cup, right? But everybody agrees that this is not the season that matters.
Next.
What really matters is Ivan Demidov on a 7-game point streak with the highest points per 60 minutes of a rookie ever in the KH, playing on the first line now of SKA. Kent Hughes, Jeff Gorton, they went over to Russia. Very controversial, by the way. They went to Russia, watched him play a few games. All of a sudden, Ivan Demidov is on the first line. All of a sudden, Ivan Demidov is scoring goals, getting assists, making phenomenal. Did you see the goal that he scored the other day? Bro, he went end to end. He went 200 feet, deked around a guy, deked around another guy, put the puck through somebody's legs, and then backhanded into the net.
I'm gonna have to watch these highlights because now I'm finally settled in here. I gotta catch up on what's been going on.
You're a lot closer to Russia time. I bet you. You could actually watch those games at like decent times during the day.
Maybe tomorrow I'll have to watch one.
Be our official scout, the official scout for the Frozen Forum podcast.
I could scout Evan Demidov, give us Evan Demidov updates.
Yeah. No, because he's been insane, bro. Like I swear, I think he has like 9 points in the last like 6 games or something like.
Even though he's been that insane, we won't be seeing him this season, which is
we could.
No, it's been confirmed. Like I saw it like 3 minutes before we started recording.
If we make the playoffs, we could.
He could play, but
you remember how we pulled
another question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to bring a guy who has never played an NHL game?
We brought Cole. Do you remember?
That is true.
We brought Cole. Do you remember where that went? Man, I love Cole Caulfield.
That would make me nervous because that was also the COVID era. But
the players didn't like just become bad players just because it was COVID, right?
I know, but it's a different environment. It's not the same thing.
I don't know. I look at Ivan Demidov. How do you project out a roster? Okay, wait. You know the players on the team, right? Give me like 2 years from now, who you think are like the staples on the team and where they're playing, what position they're playing, and then be like, okay, this is where we have holes. You know what I mean?
I'm just going to give you the names. I really hope Jack-Eye. The other 3 spots are variable. The forwards: Caulfield, Suzuki, Slav, Doc, Laine, hopefully, Demidov, Heinemann's. Keep Heinemann. He's been so good. Jake Evans.
Maybe. Hey, there's rumors that they're talking to him about a contract extension.
So possibly Jake Evans.
Which I still don't agree with, but that's fine.
And then that other kid you were talking about last week, the young 6'2" guy in the OHL or WHL.
I was talking about Haig, but he's in the NCAA.
Yeah, Haig. Yeah.
Okay, because like I was thinking about this, right? Shout out to Puckpedia for being fantastic. They've got a Puck GM thing, which is just like Cap Friendly used to have, so I can like have fun with it. I'm looking at our team. I love Suzuki, Caulfield, Slavkovsky together. I think you see a lot of growth from Slavkovsky on that line. I love Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook together. I think they've been playing off each other really, really well. I look at next year. Ivan Demidov's coming in. I think if you can pick up a center this offseason, we are a legitimate Stanley Cup competitor next year. It has to be a good center. Like, I'm not talking about any, like, whatever. Like, a good center. So, I tried to see if I could fit Mikko Rantanen because he's a UFA this season. Now, I'd like you to imagine this. First line, Mikko Rantanen, Patrick Laine, both 2 Finnish-born players, Ivan Demidov. Second line, Nick Suzuki, Cole Caulfield, Juraj Slavkovsky, which are our first line right now. Third line, Kirby Dach, Alex Newhook. I put in Joshua Waugh because I still am very high on Joshua Waugh, right? Like right now, you got Kirby Dach, Alex Newhook playing second line minutes. Now you're putting in third line minutes. Imagine what they're doing to opponents' third lines. As a side note, the Mikko Rantanen and Patrick Laine just by itself, I don't care who you put with them. That sounds like an incredible line.
How much money would we have to fork over to him though?
I allocated $12.5 million. Which again, it's feasible if we trade Matheson and Anderson, which is potentially an issue. The way that I look at it though is like we have so much draft capital. At some point in time, you have to optimize the team, right? If you could sign Mikko Rantanen, would you? Like there's no hesitation, right? Obviously we would sign him. The guy's 100 and something point player a year, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, he's probably going to sign back with Colorado. But they've got cap trouble. I was looking at this. Like, if Landeskog ever actually comes back, they do not have cap space. Could be interesting.
Is he coming back?
I don't know. Bro, that guy is perennially injured. Like, he might just be LTIR forever. But even if he does come back, they have $14 million to play with next season. And they only have 18 people on the roster. So, like, if you sign Mikko Rantanen to 12.5, which is his market value for all intents and purposes. Like you're paying McKinnon now 12-6. I don't know. I think there's a world in which he leaves. The other guy I have on my list is Sam Bennett.
Honest, how do you think he's a 12.5 guy though?
Rantanen?
No, Bennett.
Bennett is not. Bennett, you would pay. I think it said 9, like 8. Maybe Suzuki level, to be honest.
I would
Like
take
7.
Bennett. Bennett has been.
Do you know he only has like 3 more points than Evans?
Sam Bennett? Damn, he started the season so hot.
So hot. Yeah, you want him? Can I trade him to you in fantasy? The fantasy that
take
you
my-
haven't
you
looked
take
at?
my whole team. I'm not looking at that anymore.
I know you're not looking at it. I'm playing you this week, and I'm going, oh wow, I don't even have to look at it. Like he's got 4 injured guys on the roster that are just sitting in roster spots.
I don't care. There's no punishment. If there was a punishment, I would give a shit. But honestly,
More
Marty's
punish.
doing so bad, so whatever. I don't care.
It is what it is. The other name I had though, so because I look at this team, right? I go, what are the actual holes long term? I think we need another right defenseman, a right shot defenseman. What are your thoughts on offer sheeting Evan Bouchard?
He'd be a shot from the point that we lack. I just don't see Edmonton getting rid of him. Like
It's not about getting rid of him. It's like if we pay him enough, they won't be able to sign him. Like they've got just as much cap troubles there as Colorado does in Colorado. The thing is, we've got so much cap space, bro. Like the actual cap space of the Montreal Canadiens is so high. Because Dvorak is coming off the books this year. Savard is coming off the books this year. Like between that, there's already like $9 million on the books. And we're not at the cap right now.
I'd love Evan Bouchard on our team. I just don't see him joining because they have a dynasty in Edmonton right now. If they find a goalie, bro.
But you can't sign a goalie. What money are you signing a goalie with?
True.
You see that hit on Stuart Skinner?
They have to work with what they got. But this is Edmonton's do or die year, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So if they die, it's very possible. Get me Evan Bouchard, bro.
There's a lot of ifs. And I think one of them could happen. So hopefully Ken Hughes is watching this episode and maybe we're going to get some gears grinding up there.
Look, because I'm looking at this and I like realistically speaking, this is the first year where I think that we should be very active in free agency. And it has to be the right people, right? This is not about bringing in some $3.5 million guy to fill out our back end, right? Like we don't need to do that. This is not the Detroit Red Wings signing Ben Sherratt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's stupid. Don't do that. This is if you can add a very, very high impact player into the team, you have the cap space to do it, go do it. Because we will be I mean, look, I did it like the way I did it yesterday, because I was curious, right? Is, I looked at if we signed Bouchard to an offer sheet, $9.15 million, which is like the lowest you can do without having to give 2 first round picks in exchange. Maybe it would have to be more in order for Edmonton to actually consider not matching. But you sign Bouchard, and you sign Mikko Rantanen, and you get rid of. You get rid of, who did I get rid of? Mike Matheson and Josh Anderson, right? So there's $9 million coming, or $10 million coming off the books, right? You can make the cap space work. And look, that trade, you can say whatever you want about being able to trade Matheson and Anderson. Matheson has a market, right? He's paid $4.9 million. He's easily a second pair left shot defenseman. Like there's a market there. You can trade him. Anderson's harder, but as it's been seen throughout the number of years, we can take a first overall pick, or not first overall, a first round pick, package it with Anderson and send him anywhere, to any one of these like non-contenders, right? I don't think that's an issue. But I look at this team and I go, tell me how this is not like one of the most competitive teams you would ever see, right? Like you're talking about a top pairing of Laine Hutson and Evan Bouchard, second pairing Caden Gooley, Alexander Carrier, third pairing Jack Guy and either Mayu or Reinbacher or maybe Enstrom or whatever. So third pairing is not great, but like whatever. You look at our forwards, you got Patrick Laine, Mikko Rantanen, Ivan Demidov, Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, Uri Slavkovsky, Alex Newhook, Kirby Doc, Joshua Waugh. Like, and our fourth line, Emil Heineman, Oliver Kapanen, and Brendan Gallagher. Like, that's a very competitive team.
See, these are good ideas. That would be incredible. If we had a team like that, give me the max bet on Montreal making the playoffs next year.
But this is where, right, I look at it and I go, okay, first of all, very competitive team. But more than that, Think about who's not even on my roster, right? Hage is not on this roster, and he's projecting as a top whatever. Owen Beck is not on my starting 12 forwards, right? He's projected as a third line center, right? Luke Tuck is not on this team. Florian Jack-Guy, who could be a very good fourth pairing defenseman. David Reinbacher, like, again, he's not really on this. He has time to develop. You have pieces that are still going to add to this team as you're competitive. Whereas like other teams that do this, like the Detroit Red Wings, when they added all of their free agents, that was it. There's no more prospects coming up in Detroit. Like, no real good prospects. This is a team, I'm looking at this, like, I'm going to get ahead of myself. I'm looking at this team, and I go, we could be a Stanley Cup competitor next year. Again, I don't really see us being a true Stanley Cup competitor unless we obtain a top 6 forward, or top 6 center, and a right shot defenseman. Like a top 4 right shot defenseman. We don't have enough right shot defensemen that are NHL worthy right now. And we don't have, like, maybe Kirby Dach is a second line center. The thing is, I think on Stanley Cup teams, the third line center probably could play second line on other teams, right? You have to be deep. You know what I mean? And so if we do those two things, we find a center, we find a right shot defenseman, this is a team that could be a Stanley Cup competitor for 8, 9, 10 years. This is even with Cam Fowler. This is not with Jacob Fowler on the team.
I know. But do we even need him? Like, Montembeau's been doing solid and Dobbs has been doing...
No, but that's just the whole thing, right? It's like, the only reason we need him is because, Samuel Montembeau's 28. And so, give Fowler a few years to develop. And all of a sudden, he's coming in when Montembeau's played himself off the team. And we've got a entry-level goaltender who is, coming in and helping the team to win.
Got a lot of exciting stuff, and it's already starting to come to fruition now. I mean, the past few weeks.
Have you ever been more excited about this team?
One time. 14. PK Subban, baby. PK Subban, Carey Price. I love that team. That is still my favorite Habs team to this day. That's what got me into the Habs. But since that point, no, I have not.
But even then, were you excited in 2014-15 about that season only, or about the next 10 years?
I was excited to be a Habs fan for life, baby. What are you talking about?
Well, no, but what I mean, right, is like, I'm looking at what we're building here in Montreal, right? And you have so many good pieces that have the potential to be here long term, right? That, like, I'm not just excited for this year. I'm not just excited for next year. Like, the whole vibe of the team is to be excited. I'm excited about the prospects. I'm excited about this year's team. I'm excited about next year's team. I'm excited about the draft picks that we have this year, because we still have 2 first-round picks this year.
Wow.
Right? Like, we have Calgary's and we have ours, right? Like, we could be picking twice in the first round in what seems to be a very deep draft. Or we could trade them.
Yeah, we could trade them for Evan Bouchard. Exciting times in Habs land. Man, that's nuts. What else have you seen, though, across the league? Any interesting things?
Look, the league is so close this year. I mean, I'm not going to say the Western Conferences, but the Eastern Conference, my goodness, it is incredible that all but one team in the East is within 5 points of a playoff position right now. And look, if you look at this in reality, like, Tampa Bay is in a wild card spot. They shouldn't be. Their points percentage is way higher than the Boston Bruins, but they've played 5 less games than Boston. I don't know how the NHL schedules these things, but it's ridiculous that Boston has played 43 games and Tampa Bay has played 38. Like, to have a 5-game discrepancy just sounds wild to me. Now, obviously, Tampa Bay might not convert, which is why points still matter, but their points percentage is much higher right now. But, like, again, if we win, when's our next game? Our next game is Friday against Washington.
Wow, we have that much of a break? Okay.
Yeah. I think our next game is Friday against Washington, Saturday against Dallas, and then next Tuesday against Utah before we talk again. But like, again, like I'm looking at this team and going, we're 1 point out of a playoff spot right now, and the only team that has a higher points percentage than us that's around us is the Ottawa Senators, and they've played 1 less game. So if Ottawa would lose 1 game, 1 single game, we would be tied with them and be effectively, from a points percentage perspective, tied with all of the other teams for a playoff spot. And like, the difference between us and all of those other teams, we're 8-2. You are right. We're 8-2 in our last 10. Ottawa is 5-4, 5-4-1. Pittsburgh is 4-3-3. Columbus is the only team that's sort of close. They're 6-3-1. But like it's like 6-4. Like we're way hotter than any of those teams.
We just got to keep that trail blazing while we can. On this road trip, it seems like we've been on this road trip forever.
No, it's a 6-game road trip, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're actually going back on the road.
I know.
We're going to Washington, and then yeah,
we're just all over the place. But hey, I don't know if you saw this. Jonathan Toews reconsidering coming back.
Yeah, I saw this. What an interesting thing, eh?
That'd be crazy. Johnny T, where would he just to the Blackhawks?
No.
To the Red Wings?
No.
Johnny T and Patty Kane?
No, couldn't. That'd be brutal. I don't know. I look at Toews, and I mean, what he's saying is that he's back. Like physically, he's back in a position where he thinks he can compete. He said that there's a lot of things going on in his life that made it so that he kind of fell out of that for a time. Sure. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how to diagnose this stuff. At the end of the day, if he's going to sign for a team, the team is going to take a look and going to say, yes, he can play, or no, he can't play. I think they did that with, didn't they get Kessel last year? Some team got Kessel to skate.
Vancouver. Vancouver was going to sign Kessel, and now there was so much hype in Vancouver because they're like, oh my God, we have this God squad, and now we're going to have Kessel too.
Yeah. But then they didn't sign him because he came to practice and couldn't skate, and they were like, oh, never mind.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see where he goes. I could see him in
he's gonna pick a team that he something. No. He's gonna pick a team that he thinks can win the cup. The only reason he's coming back is to win a cup.
Florida. If I was him, I would go Florida.
Well, I wonder Washington.
No, not Washington. To join Ovi, ooh, that could be lethal. Some OG NHL 2008 on the Wii, playing with Johnny T versus Ovi, but now joining. That'd be nuts, man.
Sounds pretty cool.
That does sound pretty cool. Yeah, I kind of gotta get going soon.
Oh yeah, no, me too. We will wrap this up. It has been fun.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the rest of the league because you asked about it, and the only thing I can say is Vancouver needs to get their stuff together. That team
is a dumpster fire that should not be on fire, or a dumpster. They have the pieces they need, but it's not clicking, not fitting together for some reason.
They got to get this Pettersson Miller. When that trade happens, that's going to rock the NHL. I don't know where it's going to happen. I'd take either of them.
Absolutely.
But I don't think we have pieces that they want. Here's my final offer. Mike Matheson and Josh Anderson for JT Miller. What do you think?
I'll accept on behalf of the Vancouver Canucks. All you have to do is like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. And follow us on all of our social media channels.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for watching this episode of the Frozen Forum podcast. First one in France. I didn't participate too much. I've been a little bit busy this week. But next one, we'll be back at it. We're settled in. After he travels across the entire European continent. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, everybody, for watching that. You have made it to this point. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. And make sure you hit that bell notification so you get notified when we post all of our videos and our shorts. And make sure that you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and follow us on Spotify and Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts and Amazon Podcasts. We're on all those platforms. Make sure you follow us. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you so much. We will catch you next Thursday. Alex, have a good night. Au revoir et bonsoir.